Okay, so honestly, I'm standing in Chicago in 1893 right now, and everything is literally glowing.
I always thought Disneyland was the peak of themed entertainment, but this place? This is the original blueprint, and it is absolutely unhinged.
I snuck into the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Okay, so the first thing you notice, and I am not joking, is the light. Imagine living in a world where most people still rely on candles and gas lamps, and then suddenly you walk into a place called the White City. It's nighttime, but it's as bright as day thanks to something called alternating current electricity. The entire city glows like a giant pearl. I've seen incredible light shows, concerts, and theme parks in the future, but this, in 1893, it hits completely differently. And the scale is insane.
We're talking about 600 acres packed with enormous white buildings, grand canals, electric boats, and crowds everywhere.
But here's the really unhinged part. These beautiful marble buildings aren't actually marble. They're made from something called staff, basically plaster mixed with hemp fibers. In other words, this entire city is basically a giant movie set designed to impress the world and then disappear.
I accidentally touched one of the columns, and a tiny piece crumbled into my hand.
Like, cool. Didn't mean to damage a world-famous landmark, but here we are.
And can we talk about the Ferris Wheel? A guy named George Ferris built this thing because Chicago wanted to outdo the Eiffel Tower from the Paris Exposition. This wheel stands 250 feet tall, and the passenger cars are basically the size of buses.
I thought about getting on, but the line is ridiculously long. Also, looking at those tiny bolts holding everything together? Yeah, I think I'll stay on the ground. I actually tried to find Nikola Tesla, the guy whose electrical system is helping power this entire fair, but this place is packed.
More than 27 million people are going to visit this event over 6 months. That's almost half the population of the United States at the time.
Everywhere I look, people are experiencing brand new inventions for the very first time. I just watched a guy try juicy fruit gum and completely freeze while his brain tried to process what was happening.
It's wild seeing things we take for granted today. Moving sidewalks, Cracker Jack snacks, and electric wonders being introduced right here.
But there's also a darker side to this dreamland that people don't always talk about. Just a few blocks away from all this white plaster perfection, much of Chicago is struggling through a major economic depression. The contrast is impossible to ignore. Inside the fair, it feels like humanity has already built the future.
Outside, many people are simply trying to survive. And don't even get me started on some of the exhibits in the Midway Plaisance. The way certain cultures are being displayed here is honestly difficult to watch.
The contrast between this so-called perfect civilization and how some people are being treated is heartbreaking.
Now I'm standing beside the Great Basin, watching the electric fountains glow against the night sky, and something suddenly hits me. This entire White City is temporary.
Within a few months, most of it will be demolished or eventually destroyed by fire.
All of this beauty, all of this ambition.
Gone.
It's like watching someone spend every ounce of energy creating a masterpiece that only exists for a brief moment. These people built a literal utopia out of plaster just to show the world what was possible. And somehow, that's what makes it unforgettable.
Anyway, it's getting late, and I'm pretty sure a security guard has noticed my suspiciously modern sneakers. So I'm gonna disappear into the crowd before anyone starts asking questions.
If you enjoyed this first-person journey through history, make sure to subscribe and stick around for the next adventure. And like us in the comments. If you could introduce one invention at the 1893 World's Fair, what would it be? Personally, I'm bringing instant coffee. See you guys in the next century.